This woman kindly reminded a stranger they had dropped some cash. In return, a young girl nearby surreptitiously slipped a sleeping pill into her water glass. At the time, Annie was drinking her beverage. Suddenly, a man appeared and drew a circle around her with chalk. He then warned Annie not to step outside the circle before leaving. Moments later, Annie collapsed, unconscious. Soon after, John approached the bench while on a phone call. He told the person on the line that he couldn't find Annie at the agreed spot. He then walked away. A short while later, Annie woke up and returned home. She greeted her sister Elsa before heading to her room. Not long after, Annie's husband, George, entered the house. He and Elsa behaved with concerning intimacy. Then, John emerged from a closet. He was, in fact, a hitman Elsa had hired to harm Annie. Elsa berated John for failing to capture her. She then threw him out. Next, she schemed with George. While Annie slept, they would continue dosing her water with sleeping pills. This way, they could steal Annie's assets and run off together. 10 minutes later, George entered Annie's room with a glass of water. He dropped a sleeping pill into it and left. George and Elsa celebrated outside the door. They were finally going to be rid of Annie and elope. A short while later, the pair entered the room. Seeing the empty glass, they laughed triumphantly. George then pulled back the bedsheets. To their shock, a police officer was lying in the bed. The officer swiftly got up and restrained them both. At that moment, Annie walked into the room. She denounced their crimes aloud. The truth was, Annie had been awake earlier when George tampered with her water. She had overheard George and Elsa plotting against her. Annie immediately called the police. She then decided to play along, pretending to have drunk the drugged water. It was all a setup to make them reveal their guilt. In the end, both were taken away by the police.